Miss Teresa. Thanks so much for joining me for story time. Today we are going to read one of my favorite stories. I read this when I was younger and fell in love with it. Our story today is Tub Time. So let's get nice and cozy and hear a very silly, fantastic story. Tub Time by Elvira Woodruff. The O'Malley sisters loved mud. Marty liked to make mud cookies, mud pizzas, and all kinds of mud candy. Maggie liked to build mud castles. And Molly O'Malley loved to throw mud. She would throw it in the air and on the ground. And when no one was looking, at Murphy, her dog. Unlike her children, Mrs. O'Malley had no love for mud at all. She hated it. When her girls came in from playing, she would take one look at them and say, "Tub time!" So in the clean white bathroom, the very muddy O'Malley sisters would march. They loved the tub almost as much as mud. One day, when they came home muddier than ever, Mrs. O'Malley called to them from the kitchen. "Please start the tub while I answer the phone. I'll be right up." It was Aunt Minnie on the phone, and Aunt Minnie liked to talk. "May we have bubbles?" Maggie called down the stairs. "Be careful, not too many," Mrs. O'Malley answered. "Oh, Minnie, I really must go now," Mrs. O'Malley said into the phone. But Aunt Minnie was describing her recipe for the best tuna casserole you've ever tasted and didn't want to hang up. Marty poured the bubble bath into the water, and the three O'Malley sisters climbed in. "Are you all in the tub? Is everything all right?" Mrs. O'Malley called up to them. "Yes, we're all in the tub," Marty answered, "and everything is fine and bubbly," Maggie giggled. "Hey, we forgot our new bubble pipes," Marty shouted. She climbed out of the tub and got them down from the shelf. The three sisters dipped their pipes into the bubbly water. Maggie threw a handful of suds at Molly, and it landed on her head. "Hey, Molly looks like a chicken!" Maggie laughed. "Bonk, bonk, bonk!" Molly flapped her arms and pretended to be a chicken. Then Molly blew into her bubble pipe, and she blew a bubble like no other bubble the O'Malley sisters had ever seen. It was a very big bubble, and it was full of chickens. 6 squawking, wing-flapping chickens, to be exact. The great chicken bubble wobbled this way and that. It floated toward the sink. All the O'Malley sisters looked at the giant bubble, and then down at their pipes. Suddenly, they realized that these were no ordinary bubble pipes. These were extraordinary bubble pipes. Frogs! How about some frogs? Little leaping green frogs! Marty grinned. She reached for her pipe and blew with all her might. Sure enough, the giant bubble coming out of Marty's pipe was full of frogs. 12 high-jumping, long-leaping frogs. "Oh boy!" yelled Maggie. "How about an alligator? A big, fat, teeth-chomping alligator." She reached for her bubble pipe and blew the longest bubble yet. It was as long as the tub and was filled with the meanest, hungriest looking alligator the O'Malley sisters had ever seen. When the alligator saw the squawking chickens, he swished his powerful tail this way and that. Soon, his great wobbling bubble was floating straight for the chickens. Terrified, the chickens flapped their wings wildly as their bubble wiggled and jiggled about the room. The alligator opened his giant mouth. This set the chickens to pecking. They pecked and pecked until finally they pecked their way right out of their bubble. Suddenly, there were chickens everywhere, and the O'Malley bathroom was a sea of fluttering feathers. It didn't take the chickens long to peck a hole in the frog's bubble. The frogs began leaping over feathers, and feathers began flying over frogs, and everyone was trying to stay away from the alligator. Downstairs, Mrs. O'Malley was still on the phone with Aunt Minnie. "Yes, Minnie, I do want to hear about your vacation, but I must check on my girls." She held out the phone as she called upstairs. "Are you all in the tub? Is everything all right up there?" "Yes, we're all in the tub," Maggie called down. "But everything is not really all right," Marty whispered as she peeked over the edge. The alligator was now the only one left in a bubble, and he was not very happy. As he floated past the tub, the three little O'Malleys sank down into the suds. The alligator grinned as he headed for the hook next to the shower. "Oh no!" cried Marty. "He's going to break his bubble!" cried Maggie. "Quick, the window!" called Marty. "Open the window!" In a flash, the three O'Malleys were out of the tub, slipping and sliding their way across the floor. They opened the window, and the frogs, feeling a cool breeze, leapt up and out. In a great flurry of feathers, the chickens followed the frogs. But the alligator was still in his bubble, quietly circling the room. He looked down at the little O'Malleys and then over to the large hook on the wall. He had a hopeful look in his eye. Actually, it was very hopeful and a hungry look, for it was well past his dinner time. Suddenly, there were footsteps on the stairs. It was Mr. O'Malley, who had come home from work. "Bath time's over," he called. "No!" cried Molly. "Quick, the window!" cried Marty. The three little O'Malleys leapt out of the tub. They pushed the alligator right out the window, just as their father came in. "Are they all in the tub? Is everything all right?" Mrs. O'Malley called up to her husband. "Yes, they're all in the tub," Mr. O'Malley called down. "But it looks like a herd of elephants has been through this bathroom," he sighed. When Marty, Maggie, and Molly heard this, they looked at each other and grinned. "Will you blow us a bubble, Dad?" Maggie asked. "Well, all right, but just one," Mr. O'Malley said as he picked up a bubble pipe from the floor. "Should I make it a big one?" he asked as he put the pipe to his mouth. "Oh yes," squealed the three little O'Malleys. "It will have to be a very big bubble." They giggled as they dove under the suds to hide. Meanwhile, downstairs, Mrs. O'Malley was still on the phone with Aunt Minnie as the ceiling shook like thunder overhead. Mrs. O'Malley just closed her eyes and smiled. "Yes, Minnie, it's all right. You can go ahead and tell me all about it." "Well, that noise? Oh, that's probably just my girls. They must all be out of the tub," she smiled. The end. What a great story. That is one of my favorites. I hope you liked it too. See you next time.